One-Eyed Heathen in Georgia. He, they, and One-Eyed Heathen wants to talk about Reiki. Why don't you fill us in?
Yeah, hi. Basically, I'm nervous because I'm basically calling in to say, hi, everyone. I was a great big fool, and I wasted hundreds of dollars becoming a, quote, Reiki master. And I mean, I'm laughing. It's silly, but it can actually do serious harm. And when I well and truly thought I was actually doing something for people, I wasn't being dishonest. I wasn't being bad. I wasn't even getting money for it. And with my friends and I in this whole Reiki circle, we were good people trying to do something good. We just had a really bad idea, and we were like, I believe that I was tricking myself, but we were playing off each other. And so I might say something like, and yes, I would feel things. I might say, oh, I feel really cold, and I just saw a picture of, I don't know, a wilted flower or something. And then somebody would, or maybe the person on the table would be like, oh, yeah, last week I had some flowers that died and they were really ugly, but that's what got me to start cleaning my house and clear the bad energy out of my house. Yeah, okay. You know, it's very, very similar, if not identical, to cold reading. It's just more like, oh, hey, I feel like you're releasing a lot of negative energy, or I feel like, or I'm seeing a lump and I'm working on loosening this lump. And then somebody will be like, oh yeah, I also sense or feel this thing. So therefore, you know, they will find something to confirm it. Oh yeah.
So what do people come to you with? So you actually, like, you practiced Reiki? You would say practiced?
Yes, I did. Mostly it was, we all practiced on each other, but the common complaints would have been like, I have a lot of back pain, because like, who doesn't have back pain? I have shoulder pain, neck pain, or I have chronic fatigue syndrome. A lot of autoimmune illnesses are not well understood, and a lot
stuff
of
that
people,
conventional medicine is not good at treating.
Right. So it's like, oh, I have an autoimmune disease. Fibromyalgia, you know, stuff that, you know, people still have problems with. Medical science can't just give you a pill and make it all go away. And like, or weird allergies. Like if somebody had a weird allergy, the basic idea was like, okay, so you have some kind of karmic lesson or past life memory that you're hanging on to. Like,
and so how did you approach that? Like, what did you do? You did you have like a diagnostic thing that you did, or like, how do you Reiki? That's what I'm really asking. How do you Reiki?
Okay, so there is a process of imagining the symbols. There are certain Reiki symbols, like people recognize a Hoku Rei or Hanshaze Shonen. There are these various symbols that you imagine running up and down your spine. And like for me, I would then touch my palms and imagine them in my palms, because that would get me in the frame of mind of I'm doing Reiki. And I really would feel like there was something inside me sort of coming out of my hands, if that makes sense. So maybe it was a tactile hallucination. I don't know, but I was tricking myself. And there was a time when I totally believed this, and I thought, well, the reason that medicine isn't embracing this, unfortunately, some insurance companies are today, but I was like, well, the reason medicine isn't embracing this is because Big Pharma has this big agenda to keep people sick so they can come and keep paying. And then I had a thought of like, do you know how much they make from a cure for cancer? They'd make money hand over fist.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, Big Pharma's corrupt, but that doesn't necessitate some grand conspiracy. Like,
Right.
I think the lack of, so the thing that really, really, really got me to not believe, even before I deconverted, is like, okay, there's nothing to show. What is key? Point to key. Well, okay, I can't point
This
to
is
it.
what I was saying, right?
Yeah.
Point to the meridians.
But how can I measure key? Like, there are things like radio waves we can't see, right? But, okay, how do we measure key? How
you can measure them.
Up?
I have a small question.
Sure.
Going back to your the beginning of your story, I'm curious because you said that when you were practicing this on somebody, you had found a lump. What did you actually feel something like if you were Reikiing another person? Are there sensations that you'd find in that person and that would indicate something? Did you actually feel that in them?
As far as actually touching the person and actually like feeling a lump, say like in a breast or something, no. But I'm very, like, it's really easy for me to work myself into an altered state. So I really think that I was having tactile hallucinations as well as just having this idea, oh, I feel like you have a lump here. And I might say something like, hey, you might go to the doctor and have this checked out because I feel like you got a problem here. And that was just, intuition. Now, did anyone go to a doctor and then come back and say, oh, you were right? No.
Did anyone go to a doctor and come back and say, oh, you were wrong?
No. I kind of wish they had.
No feedback. Yeah.
No.
That's very so
no, but
how did you get out of it then?
So, but it was it wasn't like a cult, like I had to escape. I just realized, what is key? How are we measuring key? What is the difference between somebody who has been Reiki'd and somebody who has not been Reiki'd? The initial difference is they get up feeling calm and feeling I would feel better. I have chronic pain. I would feel better initially and feel relaxed. A lot of times, a lot of us would like cry or laugh when we were on the table. So it would be cathartic. We would have pent up emotions and release them. And for some people, it was like, well, I had childhood baggage that I was angry about and I never told anyone. And I'm like, at this point, I'm like, it really would have been more helpful if all of us did therapy or something.
Yeah.
And I'm laughing, but
I mean, I think you hit it.
But it could
One-eyed heathen. Like, honestly, I think a lot of the benefit that people get from going to a naturopath or a homeopath or a psychic or whatever is really just having someone to talk to who will listen to their problems, maybe having a place to like lie down quietly for an hour at a time, and not have to worry about whatever it is, not be distracted by their phone or their kids or their spouse or whatever it is, right? Or their job.
Right. Right.
So I think you nailed it.
You wake up. Yeah, and if you wake up, someone's going to be saying something encouraging, and you're allowed to go ahead and cry if you need to cry. You relax. It's good. And
breaking news. You feel refreshed after you've had a nap.
Yes.
Like, no kidding.
Yeah, like a lot of people would sleep on the table, and you're just like, okay, they need sleep. Okay, cool. And of course, sleep is recuperative. But I spent hundreds of fucking dollars on this, and I feel like, a complete fool. But also, I was just being human, and I was fooled, and I was helping to fool other people. So I feel a little bit guilty.
But I mean, I think like now you have the opportunity to, turn it around, and you're like the person on the inside, right? It's like I was
I
thinking about it just today, how cool it would be to go through like naturopathic or chiropractic or homeopathic training. Be like, look, I can tell you from the inside that it's BS. Now you're the person who can tell us from the inside that Reiki is BS. So I think you've got
Yeah.
like a unique opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that, yeah, like if somebody was coming to me and saying like, oh, hey, I found this really good Reiki practitioner, you should, I don't know, check her out or something. I could be like,
Mhm.
well, let me tell you my experience about Reiki, or I could ask the questions that got me, like, what is the difference between medicine and alternative medicine? And if they want to go down the conspiracy route, I would ask questions like, okay, so if this knowledge is super super secret, how is it then you know it? Okay, so you
Yeah.
did your own research. Okay, so how from where did you get your research? Like, what is
Mhm.
their stake in it? And then, I was finding out, oh, well, from these conspiracy people, well, their stake in it is they get money from selling books and supplements and
Right.
Reiki treatments and classes and remote
Courses and
viewing
yeah,
and all this
classes,
shit.
exactly. Yeah, I mean, very interesting. Um, One-Eyed Heathen, we gotta move on, but, Ben, what do you think?
Yeah, I find it very interesting. And another little layer to this is that I know a lot of Reiki practitioners will use their hands, and
Mhm.
human touch is very powerful for release of neurotransmitters. So I don't doubt that having a relaxing time on a bed with some human interaction, that I think a lot of us are physical touch starved almost. We don't
Mm.
have a lot of that in our culture. So it's and especially with people being isolated so recently, I think that's potentially another reason why people are feeling so relaxed after these treatments. But I agree in that your experience with going through this is kind of a benefit to the rest of us, learning about what you went through to get that certification and what it's been like. Because yeah, the rest of us wouldn't know exactly apart from what they're advertising. So I think even though you might feel bad about going through that, I think it is more of a benefit than you realize.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks again, One-Eyed Heathen.